Hello everyone, my name is Almond Invest and today I'm going to be discussing what the next 1 to 2 months look like in the crypto market. Before I discuss this, one thing I do want to say is that none of this should be considered financial advice. Please consult professional advice and consultation before making major financial decisions. The contents of this video is purely speculation. And as I have to say this because I hold no financial degrees and I don't have formal education in finance. So that's what I need to get away. I need to get this out of the way early on. But going back to the main topic of this video is, okay, what are long-term trends we expect to happen in the next 1 to 2 months in crypto? Well, in order to kind of get an idea of what might happen, I think it's important to look at a chart as shown here. This chart shows the monthly returns of Bitcoin every single month. But for many people who kind of aren't aware or don't do a lot of research or kind of snooping around, it's a common phenomena that 1 year after the election, so from the election to 1 year out, is usually where Bitcoin actually makes most of its gains. So if we go to almondinvest.com here, which is a free website you're able to look at, we'll look at the election cycle from 2016 to 2020. If we look where the election happened, I'm going to get my pencil out here. It happened during the months of November. And what happened? Bitcoin exploded. It went from, 1,700 to 18 grand, which is pretty phenomenal. That's like a 24x, which is pretty crazy. It did that in a year, basically. So from when the election happened to 1 year after the election happened, Bitcoin saw massive gains here. Particularly, look at this area right here. We're right now in July, so we're right around here. But really, the big magic stuff happens, November, October. So that's essentially how this election cycle played out. These election years, this is what we saw from Bitcoin. But if we look at 2020, let's move this over to 2020. Well, if we look at the election, which started in November, right around here, what you saw is basically Bitcoin going up. And now, obviously, it had this little dip right here. But, the majority of the growth of Bitcoin happened at the start of the election and 1 year forward. And, you can see, what do you see? This is July right here. We saw massive gains right here. So, a lot of what Bitcoin does, a lot of its fun going up happens starting at the election to 1 year out. That's when you can kind of expect Bitcoin to make a lot of money. So this is common phenomena, recurrent behavior that I've seen at least with Bitcoin, and I believe the same phenomena is likely to play out. So going back to the chart of Bitcoin's returns, one thing, if you block out, so if we go to every single year, 1 year before an election year, they look a little bit different. If you're looking over here, there's not a lot of reoccurring data. However, something that's, what I should point out is if you look at July, where my mouse is, every single year after the election, Bitcoin has always gone up every single time. Actually, in August, which is next month, Bitcoin has always gone up 1 year after an election year. And if you notice, September is always down. And then October is always up. So, seeing as how how this behavior has always existed, and we've always seen this behavior. This behavior has always repeated itself throughout time. July is positive. August is always positive. September is always negative. And October is always positive. Well, one thing you can expect is for us to see a down year in September. So, if this situation were to hypothetically play out, where September is going down, well, it might be actually a smart idea to sell a little bit in July. Then, with that money that you secured, the market does still go down a little bit in September, maybe 15 to 20%. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Well, you just buy back in after a week or two of the market going down. So, that this is probably what's going to happen if this same pattern were to follow. And the same pattern of September being down, October, November being good months, and August over here being good. Now, things get a little bit more complicated, however, if you look at the most recent 3 years. Because in the most recent 3 years, one thing you do notice is August has actually been always negative for the past 3 years. Whereas if you look, post-election year, August is supposed to be green. So one of these views has to play out. One view that has to play out is either we see a negative August coming up here soon, where we have a down month for August, or if that doesn't happen, I think deterministically there's no way of going about it. If August is a green month, I think you can expect September to be red, and it's this pattern that will follow. The pattern you see here 1 year after the election, this pattern will follow out, where we have a green August, a red September, and then definitely a green October. And this will happen, green August, red September, green October. This is what will happen if this pattern doesn't play out, where we have a red August, and if we have a red August, well then I think we would just follow the exact same pattern we've seen for the past 2 years, where we have a green September, a green October, and a green November. So that's my thoughts, basically. We might have something that looks like this. This. Where, we see a dip in August, which, August is only 2 weeks away. So we're kind of approaching this pretty fast. And, if August is a down month, it might be a good idea to actually not invest right now. And, if this pattern were to play out, hypothetically speaking, it might actually be in your best interest to hold on to cash, maybe, and put all your cash in if you see a down month in August. If you see a big dip, that's an opportunity to buy. The classic rule, buy low, sell high. However, if you're looking at this, and let's say hypothetically, you're holding on to cash, but August is green. Well, what does that mean? As I discussed, if August is green, then we're going to likely see this pattern right here, where we're going to see a red September and a green October. This is what I'm thinking will happen if we see a green August here. Now, the fortunate thing is if we see a red August, then we'll have a green September, green October. So that's kind of, with that data, one of these patterns has to play out, essentially. Like, is it just, like, to me, it's pretty bizarre that, the last 2 years have seen this exact same, reoccurring rules, where August has always been down, September is always up, October is always up, and November is always up. Like, that to me is, it's playing out for some reason, but I don't know what the reason is. I can't articulate it. But this pattern that I'm seeing is likely going to play out again. It's either going to play out in this form, or it plays out in this form. But either way, whatever pattern plays out, there's going to be a red month. Either we see a red August or a red September, one of these months. Now, the nice thing is if we have a red August, the nice thing is September's green, October's green, and November's green. Where essentially, okay, sure, you're going to get stabbed right now. You just won't be feeling very good, because obviously you're going to see your portfolio going down if you're invested, which isn't going to feel good. But if we have a red August, the rest of the year looks pretty good. At least you're going to have a green September, a green October, and most of November will be green, most. Now, that's 3 consecutive months of things going up, which might be a little bit more comfortable for the average person. However, if we look at this view, a red September, like, the nice thing is you're able to get over the pain of a red August early on. But if we have a green August, like is suggested here, well, the nice thing is you can actually prepare for a red August, right? You can prepare. And so it's nice because in this situation, you can take advantage of the pain. You can likely sell some of your assets in August, maybe late August, and then put back the money in when everything's low, and ride crypto during October and November. So anyways, that's just a pattern I've been seeing. But, in general, the 4 to 5 months should be really awesome. And if we go back to Bitcoin here, if we look, this is November, starting September. So this is September. Going September, we went from like 50 grand to 100. So Bitcoin essentially doubled in this area. And we can see this playing out really well. Now if we go back as well over here, I think I might have just went to the exact same spot. If we go back over here, another thing you see is, this is September right here. And it goes up. So, this is a really exciting time to be in Bitcoin because we're pretty close. We're over here. But, if we look out, we should expect something like this. Now, one thing that is exciting, though, is things like Solana. Now, I've invested a lot into Solana. That's a little peculiar why this isn't working. I might need to investigate that. I think I've never experienced this issue before in my life. Oh. Wow, that's really unfortunate timing. That is really crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Looks like I can't even access my own website right now. But one thing I did want to say is that usually with Solana, if you pay attention, August is usually a really good month for Solana. So, if we see Bitcoin going up, well, we should actually expect things like Solana to do way better. And, it's easy to take advantage of these situations if you know kind of what the behavior of the market might act like. So if you know the market's going to go down in September, this is a really good opportunity to buy. And if you, and let's say hypothetically, okay, well, we don't have, okay, if we expect, okay, Bitcoin's has a high likelihood of going down in August, you'll buy, you're obviously, it's a good idea to buy when it's going down, but let's say hypothetically, okay, Bitcoin didn't go down in August, well, that likely means September has to go down. And you can kind of use that information to your best interest, and you can protect your assets and make smarter decisions. So, in order to kind of take advantage of this, and especially with things like Solana, here's a few stocks that I will be discussing that I'm liking to buy. Some Bitcoin stocks I'm looking at is a stock named MST. This is called the MicroStrategy. I think it's called dual income, yield income something. Essentially, the idea is that this will do 1.5 to 1.7x what MicroStrategy does, but also pays dividends. So the nice thing is you're getting dividends every single week. And I think the dividend plus the leverage on MicroStrategy makes it attractive to me. Now, it might actually be a better idea just to buy MicroStrategy out. If you don't know, MicroStrategy is like you can think of it as a stock form of Bitcoin. I'll discuss more advanced details later in another video, but that's something I'm looking at right now. And some other stocks that kind of are related to Solana are things like SolT. This stock will do 2x whatever Solana does. So if Solana goes up 10%, SolT will go up 20%. If DeFi, such a shame. If DeFi development is sort of like the MicroStrategy of Solana, and unfortunately, I'd like to show a little bit of data, but this stock, is related to Solana, if that's something you want to buy, but it might be a little bit more reliable just to buy SolT. And lastly, GSOL is another Solana-related stock. So that's kind of how I'm preparing. This is the things I'm seeing for the next 1 or 2 months, the dip in September or August. And I think it's something that you should be aware of going forward. So with that being said, that's everything I wanted to discuss today. Thanks so much. If you appreciated this video, be sure to share it, like and subscribe if you found this content useful. And I hope to see you very soon. Thank you so much.